ratings and reviews.
Each week, we take a minute to highlight your guys' reviews of the show.
It has been a while since we've shared some reviews. I'm Marty, Brian's podcast producer, and let's pull up our first 5-star review. This one is from Mr. AGS Landscaping. He titles the review Down to Earth. Brian shoots it straight with tons of tactical information mixed in with great guests of all ages and business sizes. Appreciate this awesome content. Nick at Hilltop writes, "Thank you, Brian and Liz. The information and personal applications in every episode are so valuable. Listening to this podcast has switched our frame of mind from employees to entrepreneurs. We cannot thank you guys enough. Keep doing what you're doing." Here's a cool one from Bob Weaver. "Brian has saved my life." Wow, that's a huge statement. "His talks and support have saved my life. Brian is not only my business coach, but a personal friend. Here's to talking soon, brother." DC Lawn and Maintenance chimes in, "Love the podcast. I remember reaching out to Brian in 2020 about starting my business in Columbus, Ohio. I'm 24 and Brian gave me nothing but great advice. And now almost 3 years later, I have 3 guys working from me and doing some great numbers. Love listening to the podcast and YouTube videos. Keep up the good work. Thanks again." Finally, Tim Verone shares my favorite podcast. "I started watching Brian's videos on YouTube last year and have since become a huge follower of as much of his content as I can. I work for a friend of mine in his landscape business, so I'm basically his Rob. Soaking in all the content and knowledge over the last year has actually made me want to start my own company, which is in the works. So thank you for all the content, knowledge, information, and most of all, the inspiration that you've given me. Definitely my favorite podcast." And I'm going to have to cut it short here. It looks like, oh, great. These are the guys from the tax collection agency. Got to jump.
Want us to read your review next? Let us know how we're doing, and we might just read your review on next week's show. You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, guys, wanted to do a quick podcast. I really do think this will be a 15-minute one, kind of in and out, but the topic I don't want to just breeze over. Nonetheless, I think it's one of the most important things to mentally think about as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, and that is working with people. And long story short, where this topic actually stemmed from was from the MasterClass breakout session that we did at Launchpreneur Academy Live 2022, just a week or two ago, up here in Novi, Michigan. That's our annual live event that we do. So many people came out to support, to check out, to learn, to grow, to get the info, the information to have a more successful company. We ended it up on stage. I think the main event, there was about $150 to $200 million worth of quote unquote business and business advice that had graced the stage. Guys like Mark Bradley, who had a $50 million company, Troy Clark, $10-20 million company, or companies, let alone net worth and portfolio, right? Nick Carlson, 8-figure company. Mike Andy is doing multi-millions. Like, you add it all up, it was just some of the best advice. But I will tell you, something that was one of the more, it was just different. It was just a different environment, a different setting, one that I haven't been in a while, was a breakout session that we did, the first of its kind, that was highly requested from you guys that wanted to get in a closed door, no video, no recording, no hype, no, showmanship, just straight raw info about a breakout session, hearing from some of the best in the industry, and just being able to have just genuine, pure access to these guys and ask whatever question was on your mind. So 2 questions, or 2 people specifically, was Nick Carlson, who's growing like crazy with his company. And just, dude, he's just a butt-kicking dude. He is an entrepreneur. He's a man's man. He is a very, very intelligent individual. Nick Carlson was one. The other one was Corey Ballard. And so the interesting thing with Corey is, I know he's shared on stage at LEL in 2020, and then of course in 2021, did a really, really good job But you can tell like it's not really like his cup of tea. It's not that he was a bad speaker or anything like that. Corey did a great job. That's why we had him back in 2021 to share for the second time. But you could just tell, like, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses with communication and style. And some people get fed on stage. They love sharing. They like to be, just out front. And not that Corey can't hold his own doing that. You can just tell he's better in a one-on-one, a one-on-four, a small group environment. And bro, I will tell you 100% in a more strategic, more mastermind, more elite setting like that, Corey opened up and you could really shine and you could really see the intelligence, the emotional intelligence of Corey Ballard, the intellectual aptitude that this guy had to understand and listen and to break things down. It was I'm telling you guys straight up, it was an entirely different environment and different Corey Ballard. And now I can, not to take anything away from him being on stage, right? Because you're just like, well, he says a bunch of good stuff, awesome, great guy. But when you get him in a closed door environment, you can go, okay, I can see how this guy's worth tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like multi-millionaire. And you can see why. He's amazing working with people and being strategic and breaking things down and keeping things simple as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. So I'm not trying to be a fanboy. I'm just telling you straight up, like getting in smaller proximity, right? It's like hearing somebody on a podcast. That's awesome. It's kind of high level. Going to a live event, even better. It's more specific, but still pretty broad advice that's coming from stage. When you get into a one-on-one or a 1-on-25, or I think there's 20 people in the room that were from all different walks of life, all different revenue for their business, all different years in business. I mean, there was a 17-year-old that was in for like 1 year and he's doing like 80 grand. There was a couple of guys in there, couple years in business doing 300, 400, 500 grand. We had a couple guys in there doing 25,000 that had just gotten started. Another guy's doing $500,000. And so it was really cool to see these 20 dudes. We went a little round robin. What's your name? Where you from? What's your business revenue? There was no facades. There was no walls that were up. I started off the meeting just kind of emceeing with Nick and Corey, and I said, just tell me your revenue. You're not going to impress anybody or be embarrassing here in front of anybody. All right, let's just break down the walls. Let's just shoot it straight. And that way Corey and Nick can kind of cater their message to the audience a little bit. So we went around the room and some guys were 17, some guys were 35 years old. Like I said, some guys did 25 grand in revenue. Other guys were doing $500,000 in revenue. Didn't make any difference. The point was, we were all authentic. It was all raw, and it was all just really, really good conversation. And I shared some highlights on a previous podcast about some of the things. One quick funny story it's worth rehashing was, and I said this on a podcast I did with my wife. I don't know if it was right question, wrong guy, wrong question, right guy, right, or wrong. But long story short, somebody had asked Nick Carlson. And by the way, we're 2 hours into this, so the blood is flowing. The guys got breakfast. We did 2 hours. 10-minute little pee break and just kind of get the blood flowing. Then we came back and had another hour and a half powwow. And so we're 2 hours into this. And one guy, I forget his name, but he goes, "Hey, Nick Carlson, this question is directed towards you. Hey, man, like, how do you stay motivated in life? Like, what do you do on days when you just don't feel like, winning and you don't feel like working hard?" And dude, I'm telling you, like, I didn't want to record this event because I wanted it to just be intimate. I'm not trying to sell it or sell the info or sell the experience. Like, you had to come. And, but there was a point where I was like, dude, I really, really wish I recorded this session, because Nick Carlson goes, "What do you mean you're not motivated? What do you mean you're not inspired to win? Every day I'm charged up to win. Every day I'm going to crush it. I'm a killer. We're in attack mode. We're in acquisition mode. We're hunter killers. Like, you and your tribe and your culture and your people." Dude, he went off. And not like beating this guy up, but like, it was just raw. It was authentic. It was just Nick Carlson being Nick Carlson, which is why you can't unload on people like that from a public setting, from a stage, from a podcast even, right? Because you're just like, it just kind of gets a little numbing. But one-on-one, hey, if you're there, you wanted to grow, and we're not gonna sugarcoat anything, right? We're gonna give you exactly what you need to hear. And just to hear this guy unload, or Nick unload on this guy was pretty funny. And the guy took it, in good spirit and good attitude. And at the end of it, I'm pretty sure he looked like a Wile E. Coyote with his hair blown back, right? And then Nick Carlson gives his 2 cents and just just lays in on this guy. And then Corey goes, yeah, ditto for what Nick said, because there wasn't really anything left to cover, right? So it was just really, really funny, but just quick little takeaway. But we went around and everybody asked at least one or two questions. We talked about a bunch of different topics that were very, very helpful for people growing from, $20,000, $50,000, $1,000 a year in revenue to $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, which is kind of the theme that I was personally taking away from this whole thing. Adding your first, second, third crew, adding your first couple admin people. To hear Corey talk about that and Nick talk about that was awesome. I'm telling you, priceless information. Next year, we're going to give those tickets first come, first serve to those guys that were in the group because they're the ones that supported. But we're going to do 2 or 3, I think maybe 4 breakout sessions next year at 2023 is kind of the idea. And after getting some feedback from some people, and we might talk like financial breakout room, like maybe have a Cycle CPA stick around, John Pajak stick around, maybe a Mike Bedell. I don't know. Give me some feedback. Shoot me some messages, some emails. Let me know what you guys think. We might do like a sales and marketing one. Maybe you can have Mike Andes in a closed room with 20, 30 people and just talking marketing. Business operations. Maybe we'll have Corey Ballard back in and he can talk about the same kind of topic and content. Maybe there would be a, I don't know. So, we can figure it out. But I think a couple different themed rooms would be really, really good. One thing I wanted to talk about, and here's the whole point of the show, is a thought that I heard somebody ask about. Well, let me rephrase it. There was a reoccurring theme, and it was a lot of I'm trying to hire, I'm trying to empower my people, I'm trying to work with my people, work through my people, empower, recruit, find the good people, all this kind of stuff. And that was a quick takeaway. That was a big theme of the whole event. I didn't give anybody any notes or, hey, here's what I want you to talk about from the big stage. But every single speaker talked about building a team, finding the right people, building good culture. That was some of the common derivatives I think you could say from the show, from the main event. That translated to that Sunday morning masterclass, and basically it was a continual conversation. And here's one thing that I wanted to just weigh in on. And this is a quick tip, and this is a really, really, I'm going to give you guys some homework, and you can go down this rabbit hole more further. But after hearing a lot of this conversation all weekend and on Sunday, I forget the exact conversation, but somebody asked about working with people, and they said, like, I've got my best guys that are crew leads. I've got my best guys that are my foremans, and they're really good at X's and O's. They're the trimming guys, the brick paving guys, the landscape crew guys, the mowing guys, whatever. They're really good at the X's and O's of the business, the doing of the business. But they're not the best at working with people, right? So when you hire a new guy and you throw him with your 6-year experienced guy, there could be some disconnect, right? And your guy that's been doing this for 6 years is like, dude, you're giving me the dead weight. You're giving me the dead fish. I didn't get started to do landscaping to start training a bunch of newbies, right? And so Corey was relating to this as well. Like they have an actual 4 or 5 different people, from the HR manager to the next person to the next person to their main crew training person, and then crew trainers and foreman training. And Corey explained how they do it. It was awesome. I was like, dude, that's awesome. That's a sweet system. Well, the common theme is, and I brought up a point or a book that I wanted to share that was really, really insightful for me, that I think could be really insightful for you guys, is there is a book out there called Bringing Out the Best in People. It's from, I think it's Alan Lloyd McGinnis. It's a classic. It's a book that was written, 80s, 90s, whatever it was. And in the book, one of the first takeaways out of that book, one of the first nuggets, the first chapters, it talks about in the beginning, when you start something in life, you're probably going to be 80% technical and 20% people. Or think lawn care landscaping. You're probably 95% in the field doing the mowing, the brick paving, the leaf blowing, the dethatchings, the fertilization, the whatever, right? And you're probably 5% working with people. Customers, making sales, customer service, working with your crew, right? Maybe it's just you out there and you don't have a second guy, you don't have a third guy, right? Anyway, go back to Bringing Out the Best in People. This book, it talked about in the beginning, when you start anything, you're probably going to be 80% technical, 20% people. As you climb through management, you're going to be 50% technical and 50% working with people. And as you become an executive, you're going to be 20% technical and 80% working with people. And I would almost go to extremes and say you'll probably be 90% working with people and 10% technical. And so a couple quick points here. As you continue to grow your company, and I've learned this along the way. I've learned the hard truth about this along the way. And it's just, it's not always how well you stripe. It's not always how well your fertilizer ratios are or whatever, concoction where you guys are putting together. It's not always, how well you're laying brick pavers or how well you design this outdoor living space. You have to realize that in the beginning, you do have to be very technician and very technical minded. But as you continue to grow anything in life, right? A company, a relationship, business, you do have to start learning people, right? And so this was a couple nuggets because Corey had chimed in, Nick Carlson had chimed in, and Corey had said, we're not in the lawn and landscaping business, we're in the people business. And that is a common statement that a lot of people have said, hey, we're not a mowing company, we're a marketing company that happens to sell mowers. And you hear that, or maybe you've never heard that, but if you've heard that before, you go, I get it. But then you got other companies out there, they're selling insurance, and they say, hey, we're not in the insurance business, we're in the people business, we just happen to sell insurance. And there's truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. And so what I wanted to relate with was another quick takeaway. Think about Corey Ballard, and he's just a great, relatable example. Corey and I have become really good friends behind the scene. We text almost every day. I really look up to the dude. He's the first time I met Corey, I didn't really like Corey. I was very standoffish with him. I don't know if it was a bravado thing. I don't know if it's just a personality thing. I don't know. I've really matured over a lot of that, and over the last couple of years, really have come to love and respect the guy. But a quick for instance, was I did a shop tour with him, and you get a couple people that comment in the comment section, which is always great and good feedback on the YouTube video. People would say something like, it doesn't seem like Corey really knows what's going on with the equipment. It doesn't seem Corey really knows what's going on with his fertilizer trucks, or what skid steers they're using, or what mowers they're using, and so it almost looks like he loses a ding, on this credit report here. It loses a little ding on the credibility when we're doing the shop tour. And it was interesting to note because as somebody who's grown a couple 100-person organization, doing tens and tens of millions of dollars, you become further removed from the day-to-day of what trimmers are we buying, what mowers are we buying, what skid steers are we buying, what Arctic sectionals or snow wolves are we buying. Because you start realizing you have a 150 to 200 people aircraft carrier size company. And what becomes more valuable is working with people, right? Corey and Nick and many people running $1 million plus company, or even, as you guys continue to add your second or third crew, you're going to realize you can find people for 15, 18, 20, 25 bucks an hour, 30 bucks an hour to mow grass, put in bricks, trim shrubs, right? But to organize human capital, that's a line that I got from Elon Musk. To organize human capital, you have to start being better with people. And it goes full circle to the book, Bringing Out the Best in People. Because in the beginning, everybody thinks it's how well you're good at being a technician or the technical side of the business. As you grow management-wise, it's 50-50. And as you become an executive, it's 80-20 or 90-10, right? So right now, Corey is in the or 80-20. Right now, Corey is in the 90-10. He's not buying trimmers. He's not buying blowers. He's not making the day-to-day decisions about, what trucks they're buying. He couldn't care less. He's in the, I got 150 to 200 people. I need to be working on culture, the company vision, helping people with their life, mentoring people, working with different personality types, human resource issues. That's the focus of a leader as you continue to grow a company. And so I want to relate that back to maybe you guys have a crew and you have a foreman or one or two foremen. You have to realize, and this is what I'm realizing too, and I've already been working on this for years with Rob, is when you have that foreman, and this goes to a nugget that Mark Bradley had dropped with LMM. He said, if your foreman, this is a guy who's running a $50 million company. So before you cast judgment or cast an opinion, maybe humble, just open up your mind for a quick second and listen to what Mark Bradley, who ran a $50+ million company, probably an 8-digit software company now, has to say. He said, if your foreman are in the field are doing more than 80% technical work, you are overloading them. They need to be doing 80% of the technical work in the field and have the bandwidth for 20% of the capacity to work with people. So let's quantify that. Meaning, yes, they need to be in the field. There's times where they're going to have to pick up a snow shovel or pick up a mower or a trimmer or a blower or help on the hardscaping crew. They have to run supplies and do all this stuff. That's the jobs of some of these foremen. But you have to give them the opportunity to work with the people as well, to debrief, to how are things going? Can I pull somebody aside for 20 minutes and say, hey man, it's your second week on the crew. You're new to the company. What's your thoughts? What's your feedback? How are things going so far? Right? You have to give these guys the resources to learn how to talk. Teach them how to talk. Teach them the why, not just the how, was a nugget that Nick and Corey had dropped. Be able to communicate with the crew. They need to understand how that works into the bigger picture of the company, right? Because that guy might have got started in your company 5 years ago, and all he wanted to do is mow grass. And now he's a foreman moving into a regional manager, I don't know, whatever, managing 5 of your crews. He's going to be your ops manager. Is it going to be as important for that guy to know the latest and greatest Echo trimmer, or to how to work with people and how to have good people skills and how to get people to do 110% and to sell out and to fall in love with you, your company, your organization? Right, those are the more valuable skill sets that as that guy climbs the leadership rungs, he needs to be able to work better with people. And so the point I wanted to make was, as some of you guys are continuing to grow your company, work with people that know how to work with people and explain to them how, hey man, I know you're really good at laying bricks, but I need you to kind of take a step back, downshift a gear from 6th gear to 5th gear. And I need you to start spinning this other plate, talking about working with people, managing this hardscape crew of 3, 5, 8, 10 guys, managing this mow crew of 3 or 4 guys. I need you to start being invested into these people. And here, and this was a great nugget from Corey. He said, by you explaining to that guy who's growing in through the organization why that's important, it's important because, hey dude, you said you wanted to grow in the company. For you to grow, we have to work you out of a job. We have to replace you with another dude on the trimmer for $15, $18 so you can become a crew lead. When you have a crew, you can be the foreman. When you're the foreman, you can become a training foreman. When you're done being a training foreman, you can become the next level manager and whatever rung they had in their org chart, at Perfect Cut, for example, or at Laser Cuts with Nick Carlson. But dude, the reason I need you to start working with these guys and developing relationships and pouring into them and getting feedback and talking to them a little bit more than just, hey, we got to mow the next lawn. Hey, we got to mow the next lawn. Hey, we got to mow the next lawn, is because this is what allows the organization to grow, right? So, and I'm telling you guys the same thing. Maybe you guys are struggling because you're like, I can't find anybody to work for me, or people come and go, or I have a revolving door business where people are hiring and then they're there for 3 weeks and they quit. Maybe it's not because they're not great on a trimmer or great mowing straight lines or good at putting bricks in the ground or building a patio. Maybe the person they're working for doesn't have any human element to them with people skills. You're not good at loving on them, encouraging them, setting a standard for them, pulling out the best in them, challenging them, learning how to communicate with them. Because they might have a different personality type than yours. You're not able to communicate and understand their priorities in life. You're like, dude, we're working 70 hours a week. And the kid's, 28 years old, newly married, has a new baby maybe, and he wants to be home more, not work more. And you're like, I need a 70-hour-a-week guy or bust. And you're like, the guy's like, hey, I'll work 30 all day based on my wife's schedule, my schedule, my new baby commitment. I'll be your best guy for 30 hours a week. And you're like, dude, if I don't get 60 hours a week out of you, you don't belong here. You got to start realizing you're working with people. These are not robots. These are not machines that you're hiring that you can just demand certain things out of them. Of course, there's standards and there's things that we got to do to work and get, the job has to get done. But what do you think is more important? The guy's technical ability to have that guy lay bricks as the owner, or for the guy to have some good people skills to work on working with that guy and around his schedule to a degree? Right? So that was just a quick nugget and a quick takeaway that I got from sharing that, because I had shared, I said, hey, in this closed door environment, anybody ever read the book Bringing Out the Best in People? Nobody's hands went up. Nobody ever even heard of the book, which is fine. And I said, that's a really, really good book. That's my homework for you guys, is to go on Amazon, buy the book for, $14.95. I've learned more. I'm looking at a bookshelf here in my at my house. There's, a couple dozen books there. We have like 3 different bookshelves in here with all a couple dozen books on them. We have in our storage locker another couple hundred books that are stored up. All of them are highlighted. All of them are earmarked. This is stuff that I devoured for, 2 decades almost now, just trying to learn how to be a better person, right? From all the different topics: health, wealth, spiritual, financial, people skills, all this stuff. And now, this is not an overnight thing. You don't just read a book and start being better with people. People are an enigma, right? Because you have personality types and behavior types and baggage and ambitions and passions, and everybody's got their own approach and philosophies and values. So it's a never-ending thing. And so that's why I always talk about on the podcast, you don't listen to podcasts to get the big things. You listen to daily podcasting to get the little things, the little nuances about how to better work with somebody, right? How to better lay bricks, how to better lay Christmas lights, whatever, right? You're looking for those nuances, and that's why you're a continual learner and a continual student. So that being said, my quick tip and quick nugget is keep an open mind about learning how to work better with people. Keep an open mind about empowering your crew and your company, and have these meetings with those guys that are in a leadership position. And I don't care if it's a 2-man team and he's the mow guy and there's a trim guy. And this guy's been here for 3 years and the other guy's been here for 3 weeks. The 3-year guy, he is probably in a positional leadership position where he needs to be able to start working with good people skills with that guy. Start with that process. By the way, look at the trimmer guy. Does he have better emotional intelligence, relational intelligence than maybe the guy that he's working for in the crew lead? I don't know. Get a pulse. Check that out. But the guy in the trimmer might have better leadership ability. Now he's going to pay some dues and get credibility with the company, but he might be in a better position 2 years from now to start running bigger parts of of your operation than the guy in the mow crew. And you're like, oh no, but like it's a positional org chart. People can't leapfrog each other. That shouldn't be a thing, right? You never know who's going to circumvent a couple rungs of the leadership level, because they have the ability to work better with people, right? And by the way, it goes full circle to the shop tour I did with Corey. People are like, well, he doesn't know what skid steers are on his company, or he doesn't know what's going on here and there and that. Right, but Corey can get an extra 10% out of all the people around him. Corey can have emotional intelligence and understand when people are having a bad day and still get them to come into work and still post up and still show up and pour into those guys and help them out. And of course, help that guy's life, right? Because Corey's been there, done that a little bit with his life. So any which way, quick little nugget for today. It's not always about technical knowledge. It is a lot more as you continue to grow a company. You continue to network. You continue to get older. You realize working with people is very, very important. Just a little nugget for today. In the beginning, when you start something, you're going to be 80% technical, 20% people. As you climb through management, it's going to be 50-50. And as you become an executive at something, it's probably going to be 80% working with people and 20% technical. And I would say in the lawn and landscape business, it probably goes to extremes. It's probably 90-10, 50-50, and then 10-90. Right? I talked to many people on these shop tours who have $10 million companies. They have no idea what trimmers and blowers or what the mechanic is doing in the shop. But that's okay. They do know the names, first and last names of everybody and everybody's dog. They know how many kids all their people have. They understand where all these people live, what cars they drive, if they're trying to grow a family, if they're looking for more hours or less hours. Like, bro, those are the real things that all these guys that are managing 8-figure companies all seem to have in common. And ironically enough, on the other end of the spectrum, they all have no idea what skid steers their company has. They all have no idea what trimmers and blowers. They have a brand preference, but they're not lost in the technical knowledge. They're on the 90% of people. Okay, so that's what I got for you today. Quick little tip: working with people, man. It's what every business really distills down to is your team, your people, right? Everybody can have a marketing company. Everybody can make cars. Everybody can sell lawnmowers. Everybody can cut grass. It's really the team. One of the biggest nuggets, the last nugget I'll leave you with was, at the end of the day, it's really all about the people. It's really just all about your people. What separates the good companies from the better companies is the people, right? That's your real only asset is the people. All right. So any which way, hopefully that was helping you guys out. That helped me a lot out. I just saw a lot of light bulbs go off and a lot of eyes light up at that masterclass on Sunday morning. Amazing breakout session. And, check those things out. Those tickets this year for LAL 2022 sold out in 4 hours. If I did it again, it'll sell out in 4 minutes. But when they do become available next year, don't forget, you still got to buy your regular ticket for the main show. And that's a masterclass breakout ticket for these classes that we might have too as these breakout sessions. So guys, keep in touch with those. I'm telling you what, that was some rare air, and it was a really, really cool time. And we hope to do it again here probably next year for LAL 2023. So that's what I got for you guys on today's podcast episode. Just a short and sweet one. And guys, we've got a new podcast dropping every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So make sure you guys hit that plus button in the top right. Subscribe to the show. That way you guys get notified every time a podcast drops on the Fullerton Unfiltered show. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. for all of you guys. So thanks so much for listening in, guys, and we look forward to catching up with you here on the next one.
Do you want to keep the cash flowing this winter? Head over to L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com and check out all of Brian Fullerton's new courses and powerful resources to get you cashing in on that white gold through plowing snow. The snow plowing training course is easy to understand, and you'll learn what it takes to do the job effectively and how to bid, price, and estimate snow plowing for both residential and commercial properties. L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com has 3 new resources to take the hassle and guesswork out of securing your snow removal jobs. Plus, there's eye-catching marketing materials that can help you secure new clients quickly. Ready to crush the snow game this year? Visit L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com or use the link in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.